Welcome to the Music and Therapy Podcast. I'm your host, Keana W. Relationship coach and emotional healing advocate. Each week, we explore how to heal from difficult relationships and build healthier ones, emotionally, mentally, and relationally. Today's episode is titled From Codependency to Healthy Attachment, Reclaiming Your Emotional Freedom. If you've ever felt like your happiness depends on someone else's approval or that you lose yourself in relationships, then this episode is for you. Last week on the podcast, we talked about emotional abuse, how it often starts slowly and gradually, how gaslighting erodes your self-trust, and why it is so hard to leave. One of the key takeaways was this: emotional abuse thrives in silence, but healing begins with truth. So, when you keep emotional abuse silent, that allows the emotional abuse to continue. But when you begin to speak your truth and talk about it, then the healing can begin. We also explored how emotional abuse can create confusion, dependency, and fear. And that leads us perfectly into today's topic, codependency. But before we do that, if you would like to learn more about emotional abuse, I would like for you to click the link in the show notes to listen to last week's episode of the podcast. So what is codependency? Codependency is a pattern of behavior where your sense of identity, worth, and emotional stability is tied to someone else, usually a partner, parent, or close friend. I've often seen this when it comes to children as well, because sometimes as women we consider ourselves to be mothers, and our whole identity, especially when our kids are young, is just tied into our children. Like, we need to be that good mom, we have to be a good parent, we have to do this, we have to do that. So that is a way codependency can play out. It can also play out in a partner, especially if you have cultural beliefs about what a wife or a husband looks like, or if you have cultural beliefs about marriage and the role of a woman, the role of a husband. So then it can play out like, I'm just a mom, I'm a wife, I want to be a good wife, I want to be a good mom, which is all good by all means. These are amazing things. But who are you? What are you? And that's why so many times as women we can lose ourselves in the expectation of others, but most importantly, the expectations that we have on ourselves. So when you become totally dependent on someone for your worth or even your identity, that's called codependency. When you view yourself as a good person based on whether you're a good parent or a good wife or a good friend or a good kid, then that is codependency. So codependency looks different, and some of the ways that it can show up is putting others' needs above your own constantly. Constantly is important because we all know there are going to be times where, especially if kids are younger, you're going to have to put their needs above your own. That's just something we do as parents. But when this happens constantly, all the time, if you don't make time for yourself and it's always about them, then that could be a codependent relationship. Even when it comes to your spouse or your partner, if their needs always come before your own and you're always thinking about them constantly, then you could be codependent. Now, in relationships, you are going to have to put your spouse's or your partner's need above your own sometime. And that's not a bad thing. So please don't think it's a bad thing to put other people's needs above your own. Occasionally. But when it happens all the time and it's constantly and you don't have boundaries and you don't make room for yourself, then yes, that could be a sign that the relationship is codependent. Another thing you can look out for is feeling responsible for someone else's emotions or choices. So if you are in a relationship and you feel responsible if your partner comes home and they're angry or upset and you feel like you have to make them feel better, you might be codependent. If you feel responsible for their choices or how people view them or their reputation and that's all you think about, then yeah, it could be a sign that it is a codependent relationship. And I'm even going to go back to kids. Sometimes as parents we feel responsible for our kids' choices even once they become adults or get older to a point where they can make their own choices. I've heard many parents say things like, well, I did the best that I could to raise them, but they still made bad choices. I'm a bad parent. And it's like, no, stop. like you raised them the best you could. You gave them everything you felt like they needed to succeed. So then when they get to be 18, 19, and 20, the choices they make after that, that's kind of on them. It has nothing to do with your parenting. But many times we as women get these roles tied to, we put them together. Like, if my kids are bad, I'm a bad parent. If this happens with my spouse, then I'm not a good partner. So we have to learn how to separate these things. But when we don't separate these things, and we'll talk about that later, then it is a codependent relationship. Struggling to set boundaries or say no. When you feel anxious or guilty when you prioritize yourself. Needing validation to feel okay. All of these things are signs that you might be codependent on your relationship. Now, let me go into further detail and give you some examples. Some examples could be you cancel your plans because your partner is upset, even though you didn't cause it. You feel like it's your job to fix someone's mood or life. You stay in a relationship that drains you because you're afraid of being alone. Codependency isn't love, it's emotional enmeshment. It's losing yourself in the name of connection. So, this is why it's important for us to recognize what codependency is so that we can understand what a healthy relationship is. Because codependency is not healthy. And I think sometimes we need to sit down and look at, okay, this is what codependency is, this is what a healthy relationship looks like. And I say this because all of us have not had examples of what healthy relationships are. So if you don't know what a healthy relationship is, codependency can very much look like love. It can look like love in every aspect, in every way that you expect love to be. But when you sit down and you realize, okay, this is codependent behavior, this is what a healthy relationship looks like, then you're better able to make choices about what a healthy relationship is and how you can change your codependent relationship into a healthy one, especially if you are the person who is codependent on that relationship. So now that we know what a codependent relationship looks like, let's talk about what is a healthy relationship. So a healthy relationship is built on mutual respect, emotional safety, and autonomy. It looks like both people having space to grow individually. It looks like open, honest communication without fear. It looks like boundaries that are respected and not punished. It looks like support without control. It looks like love that feels safe and not anxious. So, some examples of a healthy, safe relationship would be you would be able to say, I need space without fear of rejection. You would feel seen, heard, and valued even when you disagree. This is key because when you disagree in a relationship, it doesn't mean that you don't love the person and that the relationship is rocky. It just means that you have a different opinion. You have a different view of the situation. And that is totally okay because in relationships, it's two different people coming together to make one relationship. So, of course, you guys are not going to see eye to eye all the time. So, if you are in an emotionally healthy relationship, you will feel seen, you'll feel heard and valued even when you disagree. In healthy relationships, you will realize and you'll know and you won't feel responsible for someone else's happiness, but you support their journey. And it's all about support. It's not about trying to change a person or trying to make them happy or feel responsible like you have to make them happy. No, you can support people, but it's not your job or responsibility to make them happy. And when you are in healthy relationships, that will be important because you will see, know, and understand that someone else's happiness is not your responsibility, but you can support them in their journey as they go through their happiness. So let's break down what codependency is versus healthy attachment or healthy relationships. So, codependency is fear of abandonment. Healthy attachment is trust in the relationship. Codependency is overfunctioning for others. Healthy attachment is mutual support and responsibility. Codependency is loss of identity. Healthy attachment is individuality is honored. Codependency is anxiety when being alone. Healthy attachment is comfort in solitude. Codependency is being a people pleaser. Healthy attachment is honest, safe expression. So, when we look at healthy relationships, it's important to realize that healthy relationships do have healthy attachments. Now, I know there's a whole list, there's a whole bunch of stuff I can talk about, especially when it talks about different forms of attachment, different kinds of attachment. And that is probably going to have to be another podcast episode. And I'm going to jot that down right now to do a podcast episode on healthy attachments. But today we're just going to go on and just assume that everyone understands what a healthy attachment is. And if you don't, it's fine, because I just told you what healthy attachment looks like. But if you want to have a healthy relationship, it's important to have healthy attachments. And healthy attachments is what helps you form healthy relationships. So the shift from codependency to healthy attachment is a journey, and it starts with being aware. One of the things I like to say is that you can't fix something you don't know exists. You can't fix a problem you didn't know you had. So once you realize that you have a problem, or not even a problem, I would say, once you realize that you are codependent, and that is not a problem, you could be codependent for many reasons, but once you realize you are codependent, and you realize that it's not healthy for your relationship, it's not healthy for you or your mental health, then you can do something about it. You can definitely change, and you can work toward and strive toward developing healthy attachments. The thing that I love about attachments is that regardless of how you were brought up, whether you knew what healthy attachment were or whether you experienced different forms of attachment, it's okay. That is just like a learning curve, right? But you can always learn what a healthy attachment is, and you can do things to help you have those attachments that are healthy. And so, even though you may start off not knowing what healthy attachments are, you can definitely, once you find out what they are, change. You're not stuck in that codependent cycle. You can always get out of it. And it's not going to be easy. It's not going to happen immediately, but that's okay. In life, we can make decisions and we can do things that will help us as we progress. It can help us in our relationships, and this is one of them. So if you realize that you are codependent in your relationship, then we can do exercises and go to therapy and do things to help us to shift from codependency to having a healthy attachment so that we can have that relationship that we want. Healthy attachment is a journey, and it starts with you. So right now we are going to do 5 healing exercises. These exercises are designed to help you reconnect with yourself and build healthier relational patterns. I do want to encourage you, if you see you need help beyond these 5 healing exercises, for you to reach out to a coach or therapist to help you work through codependency so that you can begin to have healthy relationships, healthy connections, and healthy attachment. So, exercise 1, self-validation journal. So in this exercise, I want you to each day write down 3 things you did well without needing external praise. This is going to help you begin to value yourself and to recognize yourself and to accept that you don't have to always have praise for someone else. You can definitely praise yourself. You can definitely validate yourself. If you feel proud about something, that can be validation enough. So this exercise can help you realize that you recognizing that you did something well is validation enough. Another exercise that I would like for you to practice is boundary practice script. So choose one small boundary to set this week. Practice saying it out loud. So you may want to say something like, I'm not available for that right now. I need time to think before I respond. And practice that. So that when you're in a situation where you need to set a boundary, you would be able to do it. The reason I love this exercise so much is because I have found for me personally, the more I practice things, the easier it is to do. Like when you practice saying no without having to justify why, that's a boundary you can definitely set. I know me personally, there are a lot of times where I do have issues with telling my kids no on certain things that they may want. So I have practiced this. I've had a boundary where I will say something like, I'm not in the store for that right now, maybe on another trip. Or I'll just say, no, not today. No, not right now. It is okay to have boundaries. It's okay to set boundaries. Even for people that you love, people in your life, it's okay to set boundaries. Because when you set boundaries, you are practicing self-love and you are coming out of being codependent, because you can't always do what everyone wants you to do. It will definitely have a negative impact on your mental health, on your physical health, and on relationships. So setting boundaries is very important, especially when it comes to relationships that we have with people. The next exercise that we can practice, and I would love for you to practice, is emotional ownership check in. And this looks like this: when someone is upset, ask, is this mine to fix? What's my role here? And this is key because sometimes discovering what your role is, you'll realize that it's not your role to fix people or to try to make people happy all the time. So, this is definitely something I want you to do if you find yourself always wanting to make people happy or feel like it's your responsibility to change someone's emotional state. Exercise number 4. This is called Solo Joy Ritual. And what I want you to do is do one thing this week that brings you joy. And I want you to do it alone. So this could be taking a walk, making and listening to a playlist, having a meal, watching a movie. Just learn how to enjoy your own company. And finally, exercise number 5, which is our connection inventory. What I would like for you to do in this exercise is list the relationships in your life. Which ones feel mutual? Which ones feel draining? And then reflect without judgment. I have done this, and let me just say it was life-changing because you realize that so many relationships in our lives that we are trying to keep up and maintain and uphold, they're not always mutual. And some relationships that we have are actually quite draining. And so you'll be able to identify which ones are mutual, which ones are draining, which ones give you respect, which ones are good for you, which ones are healthy. It will just help you figure this out, and then you can reflect without judgment. And reflect without judgment is not reflecting to say, I'm going to cut this person out, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. It's just reflecting on where you stand in that person's life without judgment. And then you'll be better informed to make a decision about what relationships you want to continue, what relationships you may want to take a step back from, but it'll help you have perspective so that you can make an informed decision. Now, all of these exercises will be available in a PDF that is available in the show notes. So if you forgot any of these exercises, and if I was listening to the podcast, I might forget some of them because there are a lot and there are some things to do, especially when it comes to our emotional healing and well-being. I have created a PDF and I have it linked in the show notes. So just go through the show notes and you can click on that file and you can definitely get the PDF that lists all of these exercises. Now, the song we're going to listen to today is from our podcast artist, Emery Rose, and she's going to be singing one of her new singles, and the song is called Fly. And I love this song because the song talks about a person who is codependent and how they're learning to spread their wings and fly and get out of being in codependent relationships. So here is her new single, Fly.
I love you so much, but all you did is take my heart and play with it. I wanted to trust in you, but you never could come through for me. So many lies you told me, it's hard to believe in you. If we don't have trust, cry, 'cause I'm gonna put on my wings and fly, just fly away, fly away, fly away.
This week, I want you to practice the boundary practice script in real time. Choose one moment where you normally say yes out of guilt and say no with love. Also, journal this major prompt. What does emotional freedom look like for me? Another thing I want you to do is share one truth about yourself with someone safe. Connections begin with honesty. You are not responsible for everyone's happiness. You are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to say no. And you are allowed to build relationships that honor your emotional freedom. Thank you so much for joining me today on the Music and Therapy Podcast. If this episode spoke to you, share it with someone who needs it. And don't forget to subscribe so that you never miss a moment of healing, truth, or transformation. Until next time, I'm Keana W. Mitchell, helping you heal from difficult relationships and build the kind of love that doesn't hurt. Have an amazing day and a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.
Broken hearts remain, but it's